Welcome to the practical aspect of pivot table. So, this is our data. This is the data we cleaned in the last class. So, we'll be using that data to analyze so that we can get a proper understanding. So, I told us that when you want to analyze, you have to understand the aim and objective of your analysis. For example, if you have a superior that actually wants to analyze something, there should be an aim and objective so that you can tailor your analysis to what you want to solve. So you don't just analyze. But for the purpose of this class, we won't have specific parts. But I actually drew out some insight that we can actually focus on so that we have aim and objective. So for this data set, basically, we'll be having insights, we'll be working alongside with this insight, the number of products, total revenue, total units sold per region, revenue per region, revenue per month. Now, listen, sometimes they might tell you to find the full insight and the key findings depending on the data set. So you will look into your data set and ask yourself, okay, with this data set, what can I bring out? What are the relevant information I can bring out? What are the insights I can bring out? What are the findings I can get? So looking at it, I told you that this is like a data set of a salesperson that sells products, different kind of products, Zobo drink, Tiger nut drink, Kilishi and popcorn like that. And then this product is basically for the first half of the year. If you check it based on the data set, that is part of what you are going to check when you are doing analysis. You have to understand every aspect of your analysis. So if you look at it, April, January. Now this one is arranged. This one is sorted alphabetically. You get, but on the data set, it's like more. So it's June, January to June. Then where the product are sold, the region or the states. For the data sets, they use region, so we'll just work with that. We get, now we have the product here. Then we have the unit sold, meaning that the amount of Zobo drinks sold, the amount of Tiger Nut sold in January to Lagos, the amount of Kilichi sold. We have Kilichi, we have mini Kilichi to Lagos too. So then for Abuja in January, for Ibadan, for Port Harcourt, I think Lagos will get that. Then the revenue per um, product sold, meaning that if you have a unit sold, the unit sold to be 152, this is the revenue you get. So we don't have the cost price. If you are told to look for the cost price, that one is a different thing. But we will not be doing extra calculations or calculated values or calculated columns like that. So what we're doing basically is that we're going to be bringing insight from this data set for this data set. So I'll be walking us through two things. Number one, I'll be using some of the basic functions to actually explain some of the insights we'll be looking at, and then I'll be using pivot table. Now, the pivot table, why we are using pivot table basically is because pivot table actually will make you analyze a lot of data very fast, especially when you have a large data. Look at this now. This one is close to, although this one is not so large like that. Let me see. Let me see. Let's see. You see, close. That's 121 rows like that. Then we have like 5 columns. So this one is not really thick, but we are going to be using pivot table. So some of these analysis like that, we are going to use basic functions to check if they are still on the same page, so that we can get a proper understanding of that. So now these are the insights we have in mind. I told you that you write them down. You can write them down, you can jot them down, you can just put it here. So what I'll be doing is that when I've solved one, I'll click it. So I'll be showing us how we can actually solve all these ones. I will show us how we can actually solve every of this, then we are going to practice it too. Then we go into after that we now go into pivot chart, then we go into visualization templates, then we go to dashboard. So let's learn pivot table first. So for this one, you I will advise that you create. You might not actually create a new sheet, but you can actually create a new sheet depending. But on your data, you can just go to insert pivot table. It's here, insert pivot table. So when you click insert pivot table, two things you can actually use from table and range like that. So when you click this, now I will advise that when you click this one, you see it says table or range. So you click on where you want to analyze. I would advise you click every of your data set. That's you press shift control your arrow to the side, then downwards so that you can have your data captured. So looking at it, it's saying table one. You know, I told you I formatted the data set into a table so that we can have it so smooth and nice for analysis. Then now, if you look at this, it says choose where you want the pivot table to be placed. New worksheet or existing worksheet. I don't want it in this worksheet. I want it in a new worksheet so that we can have a beautiful work. Now, look at this one now. Then add this to. Now, the reason why I'm adding this to the model is that so that I will not be clicking this range over and over again. Over and over again. So let me press OK. Let's see the result. So it has brought me to another new sheet. Now, I will advise that you change your new sheet to, let's say, charts so that you will weld it because of more stuff. So I like my data to be in front, let my insights to be next, then I have charts here so that I can view. I like it like this, so to be arranged so nice. No, now, so let's have this one. I've been using this one, that's why I'm saying pivot table, a thing like that. So we can actually, I've been using it before, so that's that. So normally to bring give you pivot table one. So now let's start. Let's start with what we have. Okay, let's say let us work with what we have for our insight. But before then, let me do this. So we might be look at if you look at my data set from A, you find out that my data are showing, but the header is not showing. So as I'm moving downward, so I will advise that when you have something like that, you can actually freeze the header. So I press Ctrl Shift side, then I'll go to view, then I'll go to freeze span. So let me just go freeze top. So if you want to freeze the side of the column too, or top row, you can do that. So if I move my um scrolling bar like this, if I move it like I want to scroll up down like that, you see I can still have my header. You get, so that even if you forget what is at the top, you can actually relate with your data set. Okay, fine. So we have the first chart now. In we are looking at the number of products. The first insight we want to do is we want to get the number of products. Okay, fine. Now, if you click on any of these pivot charts, it will bring out this. Now, when it brings out, it will show you table one. This is it. This is what is. It will show you your month. It will show you your region. It will show you your products. Now, I'm on checking them because I don't actually. When you check them to bring you, it will relate it to the lower part of the pivot table field. So if you have two tables, two or more tables like that, if you add them to the stuff, it will. If you have it like that, you can add it to it so that you have other tables. But you see table one. So I don't have any other table, so I don't have to worry about that. Now, so okay, for my tables, I have month, region, product. Now let me say this one. This is the data analysis. It is this is a part where you have to do your manipulation. Now I'm going to say this. Sometimes you might as you are going on with your analysis, you might make mistake. What you do is that you sort the mistake, you do the analysis based on your desired result, like the result you want to bring out. So if you want to bring out the result and what you are doing is not bringing out a result, don't panic. Fix it till you get your desired result. That's why it's called data manipulation. You get so now let's talk about first. So since number of products. Now we are told that, okay, let me explain this part before that. This is filter. You understand when you want to when we start doing some problems. This is columns, this is rows, number of column rows and values, what we want to evaluate. So now let's run this with the speed of light. Let's go now. Let's have number of products. Now we want to check the number of products that we have. Now we now go to this. Now note this, every of the table has column and the column are represented here. So you now check for where you have product. So you now go to product. Okay, fine. You want to get number of products, you can just click, let's say, product. Look at, it's giving us in a row bar and the grand total. So we don't need that. What we need is we need to get the number of products. So you place it on values. So when you place in your values, look at it, it says count product, meaning the number of product. Now the number of product basically are is not 120. You need to count specifically because your product includes, let me show us, your product includes this. Let me see. Let me show us. Now look at this. Your product include kilishi, mini kilishi, popcorn, tiger nut drink, and jodi. Meaning if you can count here, you can count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5. You can actually count that one using basic functions. But using your pivot table now, if you bring your product here, you need to change the field value settings to distinct count. Why? Distinct, look at the word distinct count. If you want the minimum value, you click minimum. If you want maximum, you click maximum. But we don't need that one because the product it's in strings. It cannot do anything because the strings in letter. So this one cannot do minimum or maximum. Do you get that's that for that. So we get to your or total, it cannot do total. So you can only do the counting. So we have a distinct count of product. So if you look at it, you have a distinct count. So we can now rename this as number of product. If you don't want to use this, you can number of products sold or number of products. Let's use this products pro products. So we have number of products to be 5. That's that on that. So if there's a change in your data set, it will actually come back and affect this one. That is why we use pivot table. So if there's a change in your data set, your chart here will change. So that's why we use this like that. Now let's assume that we're having a very big data set, like you have number of products like 20, 30, 16, 300. You will not be able to count it one after the other. What you just do is that you use pivot table to solve that. So let's do that. That's number one, pivot number of product. Now let's see total revenue. The total revenue. Don't forget that we can actually use total your sum to get total revenue. But I'll do it in 2 ways. Let's do the one for pivot chart first. Now I told us you go to insert, so you go to your pivot. Now if you are doing your pivot now, where you will not use range, you just do pivot. You go to from your data model. You have stored your data set in that model before. So you don't need to click on range. If you have another data set that you want to use, you can go and click on range. But this one it's already in our model. So I want to pick a location. So I clicked a location already. So instead of going to new, I will not go to new, I'll go to existing. So I press OK like that. So I get OK. So you see now it's bringing a chart, then it's bringing the table out. Now for this part in our insight and mind, let me change this to um Let's change this one to, let me take, I like tax, but because in real world you solve problem, tax or insight or tax. Let me change this so that we get, okay, fine. Task. Okay, so now for this one now we are told that we should get total revenue. Now the total revenue using this one is like, okay, let's get revenue. Put revenue in your values. Did you see that? Now it's giving you sum of revenue straight. Sum of revenue straight. So you can use this, or you get, let's say, total revenue. Let's see if we are going to get the same thing. Okay, I got the message. Okay, so it is sum of all revenue. Now look at it now. If you have sum, you can change for minimum, maximum. That one we don't need it now. You have sum. So now, so far you have this one to be sum like this. It means this is an addition of everything we have. Now we can now do the two things. Number one, I don't know. Let me check data set. Let me check. Do we format this one to be in? Let me check. Is it okay? It's in numbers. It's in numbers. Fine. Because it will actually affect on it. Now, if you look at this format now, it doesn't look so nice. Like you can actually read it from afar. So we can change this one. If you want to change to currency, you can change it to currency. Then change it to okay, but we have currency at the top, so we can just do it like this. Then let's format this to a number of formats. Then look at this. How many decimal places do we want it to be? Let's just make it, we don't want zero decimal place. We don't want any decimal place. Then do we want to be separated by comma? Yes. So that we can easily see it. You get. As I said, this is data analysis. This is manipulation. Sum of revenue is what, or we go to total number of products, we can make the total revenue so that you make it more professional. Total revenue in naira is 52,500. This is why I put the comma in so that at a glance I can actually see it. So let's go to the next task. Now let me quickly let's go play around. Now let's say that you are not using a pivot table and you want to check the revenue. And we know that, okay, fine, if you want to get the total revenue, we can use our basic function, that's sum. So if I click on sum, then I click on this, then I press Ctrl Shift down, arrow down. You see, I can actually press enter. If I press enter, it should be able to give me the total sum of everything. Look at, so it's saying that the total sum of everything is 52,000. The same thing we have on the chart. Did you see? Now the reason why it's adding this one up, because we want it to be, we formatted it in such a way that we want it to be whole numbers. So you see that that's correct. That's actually correct. So we can, I'm just using that one to cross check, to check if we are still in the same line. Now let's go into the next task. We have total units sold, meaning that once, let's just check our data set. Total units sold, meaning we want to get every of the units sold in the first half of the year. Total units sold in the first half of the year. That's the meaning. Okay, let's do this one. Let's insert our pivot table from data model. Then that one, okay. Then we go into this. Let's say units sold, right? Let's drag our units sold to our values. Sum of units sold, that's the total number of units sold. That is 21. So you can do two things. Number one, if you do this, you can go to home. Then this stuff you can use it to format this. What did I do? Instead of me looking for the formatting, like putting it as comma from here, I just copy the formatting like that. So I copied the formatting. Did you see here? I copied it. I copied it. I placed it on this one. So it formatted it like, okay, fine. The decimal point has been removed. Then it's going to be the thousand. After thousand, we have a comma. Okay, so we have 21,000 units sold. Now let's quickly play around. Let's see if this is the same. It actually is going to be the same. I just want us to use this medium to get control shift down. Represent that. You see, I'm not wasting much time because I understand what I'm doing. Did you see? So we're having almost the same thing. We have the same thing, not almost the same thing. So we have that for that. So let's move on. Let's move on with speed of light. Now we have done this. We have done this. Let's see. Let's check this. Okay. Let's play around. Let's insert symbols. Let's insert symbol. I like this symbol so that I can just check if that's. I intentionally do this so that we can see how I'm navigating through. So clicking it once, I know it will have. You see, I have it already. Copy. Have. So let's cut it from here. This no, okay. Number of products. We have number of products here. Let's copy it from product. Total revenue. Total revenue. Number of products. That's this. This total revenue. Um, we have done total revenue. We have done total units sold. Let's confirm. Yes, total units. Sum of units sold. Okay. Mm, units sold. Let's see. Total units. Total sold unit. Total units sold or total products sold. We can use that. Product. Total units sold. Product sold. So depending on what you want to actually use to represent it is fine. So now let's go. Let's move on to the next task. Now we are told to look for the total units sold per region. Total units sold per region. Now the reason why we have it is because this was created by me. Basically, I look at the data set and I, okay, this is what we can actually get. So you too, you can do it like that. Look at what you can actually get, then write it down, then work towards it. Or sometimes they might actually give you a target. Okay, find this. They can just give you. They can give you four, five, six. This is what we want. Those, so you don't need to do extra things like that unless if you are told to look for the key findings. Okay, so now we let's go to total units sold per region, meaning that we're going to working with, let me put this here, let me put this here, total units sold per region. So let's insert from the model like that. So okay, so let's see, we are told to look for the total units sold. Let me confirm per region, total units sold per region. So let's say units sold, this is the region, so we'll put it. Okay, let's have region here. We are going to do the two. This one, I know this one is wrong. You can't have it like this. You have it in the rules. Then you now have total units sold to be the values because this was a carry have two categories like that. Did you see what we get now? So meaning that it shows that in Abuja, sum of units sold. Now, so for the half of the year, for throughout that the year in Abuja, they sold 5,607 products. In Ibadan, they sold this product. In Lagos, they sold this product. In Port Harcourt, they sold this. So every product equals to this. So every product equals to that one. So let me see. Let me format to this. Now I formatted it like this way. Let me format my ground stuff so like that. Now, now that's that on that. Now, if you look at now, this is the number of products sold per unit. So it's just giving you a grand total. So if you don't want a grand total, that one is not a problem. Just showing you grand total. Now, a few things you can sort all these ones basically. Let me give you instances. For example, now you have the sum of units sold or total units sold or units sold. Now, some of you might say, okay, fine, why don't you count? If you are counting it, it's going to give you a different answer. So, not that. Eh, not that. So, it's going to be now. Let us try the distinct count too, so that you see. Did you see 28, 28 distinct count? So grant that they sold 90. No, sum of total. That's what you are going to use to get. So you should know your desired result. You should know your desired result so that you not get confused. Now let's go with this. Now having known this, if you look at this one is arranged according to alphabet. Now if you look at it, we have a variation of, okay, fine, this one is 5,000, is 4,000, 4,000, 6,000. So most of the time, this one will be very useful for visualization actually. But I would advise that when you want to do things like this, you need to sort them in such a way that you have the highest on top, then we have the one that is very low, the lowest below, so that when you are doing other things, you can actually see. So we can go to sort. So this one is sorting. This one is sorting. So you can go to your sorting. So now we go to sorting. So if you are going to sort it, clicking on sorting, like descending order now. So look at it, 6,000, 4,000, 4,000. But why is it giving us 5,600? Yeah, why? And we have Abuja here. So it's descending, meaning that it actually sorted it alphabetically. So now let us now go and sort it. More option to sort. Now what we do is that we'll check this ascending sort or descending sorting. Let's do descending. Then we now click on sum of products, meaning that you are using the sum of products to sort it. The sum of products to sort this. Sum of products to sort this. Now, so after sorting, you know that this one is the highest, then followed by this, then followed by this, then followed by this. So that's that for that. Add that on that. That's that on that. So let's go to the next task to see what. Now let's go to the next one. Okay, we have done this. Copy, then paste. Total yield per region. Total revenue per region. Now let me mark it. So now total revenue per, we can do it in two ways. Number one, if you are going to be creating, if you are creating a chart and you want to create it differently, fine. You just click, insert your pivot table, and then insert, go to pivot table and all like that. You get. Then you can rename this one row labels, region, region, region. You get, so you can rename that one. Now, if you have, okay, unit sold, unit sold. So that when you want to do your analysis, you get unit sold. Okay, fine. Now, two things. We have your region. We are told to get for the revenue for region. So you can do it in two ways. If you don't want to combine them, you can do separately by inserting it again. But for me, I think combining it will not be bad. So I want to use that one to teach us how to combine it, but it's not. It's dependent on how you want your chart to be or you want your analysis to work with. So let's go to this revenue. Let's put revenue here. If you look at this, your revenue has been given like that. This is the revenue, 14, 12, 11,000. That's the revenue for each region. Now, if you notice this, that this one is not, if you notice that some have unit sales, like this one has 6,000 unit sales, but have 14,000 sales, 4,000 unit sales, but say have 12,000 total revenue. You get, so if you want to do it like this, depending on your aim, probably want to check, okay, you want to check through, okay, unit sold, and then the sum. at once at a glance, or you want to do it separately. So now let's do it separately. Basically, pivot table. I'm coming from data model. So we go okay. So we have region, then revenue. So you have to be careful with this because most of the time you might have higher revenue and then you might not sell a lot of region, a lot of things. So you have to no, you should not assume based on anything. You understand? Look at this one. We have, let me see. Let's format this with this. Let us format it like this. So this to this like that. So I formatted it like that. So we have 14,600, 12,000. We have 11,000. Then we have 14,000 based on the arrangement of alphabet. Then we have the comma. So I made a mistake. You're supposed to format this one to alongside. So this is this for this, but me I like my work to be nice. That's alphabet actually. So I want it to be in such a way that the one that has the highest revenue will be at the top, followed by the next one. So Abuja has the highest revenue, 14,614. So if they now ask you, okay, which one has the highest revenue? These are the insights you'll be interpreting in your dashboard. Although we are going to show them in form of chart. So you're going to be doing a storytelling. Okay, what happened? Abuja has the highest revenue, 14,600, 614, followed by Port Harcourt, followed by Ibadan. If you look at it, Port Harcourt has highest sold, like they sold a lot of things, but their revenue was not as much as um the one for Abuja. So you cannot just assume. You need to do a proper analysis. So don't be biased. So let me change this one to total revenue so that when I want to do my I know we are getting it like that. So for all the other tasks, like for all the other ones, revenue per month, unit sold. No, so this is um total revenue. Then let's check the task we have done. Okay, we have marked it. Now, okay, for others too, for others, you just do the same thing for others. But I want to show us now. Okay, I've showed us the other time that we can actually combine. So now, so for this class, we are going to end it here. So for the other task, you will finish this one yourself. You finish this ones yourself as you have done it in the first five. So when we are done with that, the same thing we have done, we use the same data set for our chart. So see you next class after you have finished. I'm going to finish up my own. You two are going to finish up your own. So see you in the next class with your finished task before we go into the chart.